Growth is optional, change is inevitable. And we are experiencing change like we have never seen in our careers and in our lives. And that includes change of technology. Technology is changing at such a rapid pace that if you don't adapt to the change in technology and the growth in technology, you'll be behind in a matter of days.
What are two pieces of wisdom that a founder could use to either change their mindset, their skill set, their toolkit along the journey? Welcome to Outsource to Profits. I have a fantastic guest. Anne, do you mind introducing who you are, what you do, and how you serve the world?
Thank you very much for this opportunity, Jamie. My name is Anne Bloom. I am a leadership advisor, coach, strategist, author, speaker, and I work with leadership, with leaders of small to mid-sized businesses to help them navigate today's world of uncertainty. We are living in a world of constant change with technology, with employees wanting something different, with leaders needing something different in order to engage, to motivate, to add clarity, to empower the people around them, not only their colleagues, not only their employees, but also their clients and their vendors as well.
Fantastic. And change is something as an entrepreneur you have to embrace to the point of relishment. I look at where almost all my friends are employees. I have very few entrepreneurial friends from my high school, my university days. I've grown to meet entrepreneurs as friends later in life. And what I've come to realize is that most people are very uncomfortable with the intense, rapid change of entrepreneurship. And I look at this moment in time. We're filming this in the spring of 2026. And I'm a 47-year-old, three-time founder, own three agencies. And my first agency, I was young in my early 30s. In the transition to the power of social media was just beginning to bloom. And I decided to lean in. It was a big change for me at the time as a non-technical founder. And I embraced and created a sales methodology called social selling. But I'll admit, a couple of years ago, when OpenAI came out, I call it 45 at the time. I thought, holy crap, I don't think I could go through, because I have actually was at the precipice of the social media revolution, and the amount of transformation that I know will be required in this world of AI will be so mind-boggling. It's tiring just to think about. So, but I had that
very much so.
I had that inflection point choice. Now I chose to lean in. So my first question for you is, you're with change agents all the time. You're with entrepreneurs, which are naturally more amped to make change than a typical employee. But what has been some of their biggest barriers to evolving and changing? And then the second part to that question, and I can repeat it if through memory as we get going, is how do they invoke change in their business when their own teammates, and I can see it in my own team, I have 115 employees, and they're like, we got to do what this week? So, and that's a two-part question for you.
It is a two-part, and I'm going to try and answer both parts, but I think part one is going to answer part two as well. The only thing I know for certain is that growth is optional, change is inevitable. And we are experiencing change like we have never seen in our careers and in our lives. And that includes change of technology, change of employee needs and expectations, change of just the way we think and deal with the day-to-day things that are happening in our business life and in our personal life. And I think a lot of people don't take into account the change that's happening in their personal life as well, and how it impacts their business life, and vice versa. Change is, it happens on an hourly basis. When you think about what technology is doing, when you think about the pace of people needing to accept change. And yeah, they're afraid of it. A lot of people are afraid of change. A lot of people are afraid of the thinking process that goes into change. Because in many instances, they have to change their mindset. They have to change the way they do things. They have to evolve into something that they might not want to evolve into at this point in their lives because they don't understand the importance of it. Not a bad thing, just the way it is.
So is that the root
I
cause of the challenge is the founder doesn't see the why the change is important because they're on a path, they're on a hedonic treadmill doing this all day long. And they say like, I have to disrupt my treadmill and and they can't see past the tip of their nose. Is that kind of like the main root cause or what is it?
I that's an interesting question, Jamie. The root cause is that, but I also think the root cause is, let me use a different phrase. The foundation of change is all of the pillars that you need to think about that are going to grow from that change that you need to implement in your business. Change the way you work, change the way you think, change how you give clarity, change how you communicate, change how you accept what your employees, what your vendors, what your colleagues, what your clients need from you as a business leader. And the leader is looking to think, who do I go to now to figure out how do I meet all of these expectations? How do I meet what people are looking for today? I took advantage of writing a book. I don't know if you can see that,
Yeah, no going
but
back. Yeah,
no going back, Leadership Without Limits. I wrote a book. It was published in January of this year. It's available on Amazon. And that's basically what my book is all about.
that's
My
fantastic.
book is about change. I'll hold it up again. My book is about change. My book is about growth. My book is about transformation for continued and sustained success.
Well, now
Because
let's,
a lot,
oh, keep going. Sorry. I wanted to,
sorry,
yeah.
so now, people are looking at how do they transform, how do they grow without thinking about how do they sustain that growth, that transformation for continued success. And that's the whole that's the whole line that people need to think about. It's not just about what you do today, but how does what you do today impact what you're going to do in 30 days? Because that's where your success comes in. Sorry, Jamie, go
No,
ahead.
I
You
was
had a
going to
question.
say, okay, so I look at myself and I'm a believer that if you aren't willing to change yourself, you can't ask other people to change. So obviously that the
Absolutely.
average founder listening says, okay, wow, okay, I have to change first. Now, how do you get the team to evolve and change, knowing that you, the founder, have the ability to tack and weave and change on a dime and changing an employee and a series of employees, an entire organization can be monumental. Where would you have them focus first?
Interesting question. And I think people need to focus first on themselves. I also am certified in a program called Ikigai. And Ikigai is a Japanese tool that helps people to understand their why, their purpose, and what they bring to themselves and to their family, both their personal and professional lives. I believe strongly in Ikigai. I believe strongly in helping leaders and teams understand their own purpose and how they work together to bring about change, to bring about understanding of self and self awareness. And people oftentimes don't want to take that ability or that time to learn about self. They just want to do things without understanding the impact of what they do. And Ikigai helps you understand that impact. And it's a tool that takes about an hour and a half to go through. But the time you finish understanding your Ikigai and who you are, you have one or two words that explain who you are, one or two words that show your purpose, one or two words that you can use in explaining your leadership style and your personal style as you go through life. And then you bring on people who, or work with people who will agree or match or meet or find your style important to them as well.
If you were to distill a couple, maybe two nuggets of gold from the book, this is almost like a call to action for the book, but what are two pieces of wisdom that a founder could use to either change their mindset, their skill set, their toolkit along the journey?
So the first one that comes to mind is technology. Technology is changing at such a rapid pace that if you don't ad- adapt to the change in technology and the growth in technology, you'll be behind in a matter of days. And your business won't succeed. And in my book, I have information about the change in technology, how to implement it in your organization, what it means to have a policy for implementing change so that it's used to the best of its ability rather than it being toxic or people not using it properly. So I have an example of a policy in my book that leaders should be using in their organizations to implement technology. ChatGPT, Copilot, Gemini, Perplexity, whatever you want to use, implement it properly.
Yeah. And I have a framework that I've used. Helping implement technology for years and years in my social selling days. I saw that people would focus on platforms before process, and even before
Yes.
process should be principles. So I call it the three P's. You first have to indicate a first principle on this is the rules to the road, why you're going to do it, why you won't break the code of conduct. Then you build a process or a workflow to do it. You do it manually, and then you accelerate it with technology. Whatever you've been doing, you throw gas on the fire, so to speak.
Yeah.
How do people get a hold of you if they want to learn more about what you do, and where can they pick up the book?
So the book is available on Amazon, No Going Back, Leadership Without Limits. They can get a hold of me either through my website, which is www.youraspirecoach.com, or on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is my Bible. I'm there all the time, and I love connecting with people, and I love speaking with people, and I'm happy to have a conversation. You have my name here. It's Ann Bloom. That's how to find me.
Fantastic. Well, it was a great pleasure meeting you, and thank you so much for being on Outsource to Profits.
Well, thank you very much, Jamie. This was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Appreciate the opportunity.